The reason I decided to make the video is because it's the most painful time in any of our lives when we have to say goodbye to our animal's physical body. And so many of you suffer with questions. Where is my animal? Where's he gone? Some people even ask me, is he being fed? So I want you to know the answers to all these questions that are plaguing some of you about maybe I put him down too soon. And also, I wasn't there when he was put down and when he died. I know this video will help you, just knowing what's happened to your animal and that, you know, we can't always be with them when they die or go out of their physical body and their physical body dies. But I want you to know that there is no separation at any time. The most difficult decision we have, and that we're wondering to ourselves, when is the best time to put my animal down? And it's a very hard decision to make. And many people, I have to tell you, wait too long. And when they get older, you'll find often that they lose weight and you worry if they don't eat so well. And you'll find that animals don't always eat so well. Some eat right up until the time it's ready to pass. But other animals, their appetite diminishes. But don't get too worried about it, because this is all part of getting older. And is my pet in pain? That's what many people will ask me. Is my pet hurting? Well, the thing that they often get are all the things like people do with old age. They get achy bones, achy muscles. They have difficulty walking. I have to tell you that animals tolerate discomfort a lot better than humans do. And I would advise you, if you get to this stage with your animal and you don't really like giving them drugs, when they're older, it's the only thing that will help them. And your vet will help you with this. If you go to your vet and ask your vet if he can give them something to help them, to take away the pain, the vet will give you something. Maybe tramadol. We use tramadol with our old dogs, and adequine, which is an injection which takes away a lot of the pain for arthritis. And also, you know, continue if you possibly can to give them that vitamin and the extra supplements. Glucosamine is a very good one. But then the time comes when you feel your animal can't go on any longer. He may not be able to walk, and he may be suffering, and you'll see it. But animals won't ever tell you, I want you to put me down. You know that's their unconditional love. They'll hang on no matter what you're suffering, because they love us unconditionally, and their unconditional love goes right through to the very end. So it's a matter sometimes that we have to take that into our own hands and make that decision. For instance, if you're out working all day and your animal's alone, it's a very terrible time for him when if, for instance, he may not be able to walk, he may not be able to get up, and all day he's alone on his own, and you come home from work and then you're back at work the next day. So if this is happening and your animal has got terrible pain, or he can't walk, or he's got discomfort, seriously think about having to put him down. Because when you put the animal down, it takes it out of his discomfort. He goes out of his body very easily. And I very often tell people, give them a sedative before the vet actually puts that needle in that will stop their heart. And if you can do this at home, it's so much better if you have other animals around you and they're all with you when you put your animal to sleep. They understand a lot more than you think they do at times. Animals are so smart. They'll pick up, they know it's the time for the other older dog to go off, and it's time for it to get him out of pain. They pick up everything, all your feelings, all your emotions, and they're going through exactly the same thing as you are emotionally. If it isn't possible for you to get the vet to your home, because often animals, you take them in and the vet will tell you it's too late, you know, and you'll decide to put the animal down there and then. If you do that, you know, the animals at home are picking you up and also know that. And don't worry too much about it, because if you can get your animal out of all the pain and discomfort, it will really make a big difference to your animal. Just put yourself in your animal's position. For instance, if you're working all day and you were the animal and you were alone and you couldn't get up and you were lying on the bed and you were without your mum around you, how would you feel? I know that if I was in great pain and discomfort, I would want to get out of my body. Unfortunately, they don't do it for people, but we can do it for our pets, which is a blessing at times. If you have made the decision that it's time to put your animal down, I know you'll have a few days. Many people love to lie on the floor with their animals. And they do when they're very sick too. People will lie on the floor with them all night and day, you know, and the animal really feels the comfort from you when you do that. It knows its mum and dad are there, and if your family are with you too. And friends often get very fond of our animals as well. So make sure that all of them come to see him before he goes on to his wonderful journey, because it is a wonderful journey when you pass over. So make sure that they're all there, they've all seen him, and then, you know, do what you feel you want to do. And feel if you want to be with him. Some people even take time off work if they've got a couple of days before they're going to put their animal to sleep. Sometimes animals, you'll come home, and I know that I found one of my cats upstairs I thought was fast asleep. And when I looked at him, he'd passed over. He looked so peaceful, and he had almost like relaxed and died at home. If you're not there, don't get upset about it, because I'm going to explain to you in the next part of the video what happens. All of us, some of us go to the vet, and we'll go to the vet together, and the vet will put them down. Usually you'll have a little time with them on your own before, and you can be with them at the vets when they do. You can hold them or hold their head. It gives you a great deal of comfort to do that. And then they go out of their body, and give them a relaxer like a sedative before they actually have the needle in to stop the heart. There are many ways that animals die. Sometimes they'll just go into the garden or the yard and they'll fall asleep and they'll die under a bush. You know, that's a natural way for an animal to die. But whatever you do, don't let your animals stay in pain. Dogs, cats, horses, all of you really do have that feeling that you know it's time, but it's still very hard to make that decision. And when they get older, they need a lot of extra loving care before they go. You're nursing them, and you're going to miss all those things when they go, because a lot of people spend time nursing their animal. They can't move, they help them get into the car, they do whatever they can for them to make life easier for them. They help them get on the bed, or if they can no longer get up on the bed, they'll put a bed down for the animal to go on. So don't, when you eventually have to put the animal down, don't blame yourself for anything, because all of you love your animals, and you wouldn't do anything in the world to harm them or hurt them or upset them, and the animal intuitively knows that. Sometimes when you're putting your animal to sleep, it can be distressing. Sometimes people will say, he looked at me and I felt he was asking me a question. No, he looks at you because he loves you and he knows how upset you are. People have different experiences and animals when they're being put down. Now, for instance, one of my dogs, Sam, who lived to be 22 years old, we put him down because he was suffering. He was having difficulty walking, he had terrible arthritis, and he was hanging on no matter what. He would hang on because he loved me so much and he wanted to stay with me. And it would have been distressing for many people if they had been in the same position as I was. But I understood why he was struggling when he was put to sleep. And some animals do this, and they get distressed, they may struggle, but sometimes the effect of the drug is making them do that. All animals react differently to different drugs. And so therefore that is very distressing for you when something like that happens. But understand that often they're already starting to go out of their body, in and out, just a few minutes before the heart stops beating. So please understand that that isn't anything to do with the animal, it's to do with the reaction from the drug. And if you have experience where your animal is distressed when he's put over, do understand that drugs have a different effect on people as well as animals. And if I hadn't known better, I would have been very upset by that. If I hadn't known what happens, I hadn't understood how the spiritual realm works, if I hadn't understood that drugs have different effects. And I knew that was so Sammy. It really was. And he did. He squealed a bit. But then he was suddenly relaxed. He went out of his body. And I was fortunate enough to see him running round me when he got out of his body. So that was a bonus. Not everybody can do that, but don't beat yourself up, because many people are haunted by this for the rest of their lives, because they think, they just remember that. They don't understand that drugs can have different effects on different animals and different people. Now, for instance, if an animal dies quickly, I had a lady last week whose animal was run over, and she was devastated because she was looking after someone else's dog, and it ran out into the street when she opened the door, and her dog never left. He just stayed on the side of the road, and she ran out after the other dog to get it because she was so worried about a car hitting it. And as she picked it up and turned around, her dog was following her, and he got hit by a car and was killed. She was heartbroken. She said, he never does that. But you can never tell what they're going to do. They may not do that sometimes, but this particular time, her dog did this. Accidents? There are no accidents. When our time's up and their time is up, it's up. It was meant to be. You couldn't change that. So do understand that when our time is up, before we come into the physical body, we know when we're going to leave it. And I often say we would rejoice when we go over to the other side, and we should mourn when we're born, because life isn't easy for any of us. It's easier for our animals. They're very smart because they choose to come back to us. They don't have to worry about the mortgage. They don't have to worry about what they're going to eat. And we give them everything we can. We do everything for them. And you've done everything you could for your animal, and there's no accident. So don't think it was your fault if your dog dies quickly in any kind of accident, because it's meant to be. Now, often when your animal has passed over, you need to spend time with him. You feel you don't, you feel that I want to spend time and spend a little more time with that physical body that you've loved for so many years and you love so much. And then you have to make the decision, do I cremate my animal or do I bury him? And if you're at the vet's, often that's taken care of. So spend that time. The vet will always allow you to spend that extra time with them after they've passed, because we all need that when we've passed over. Some of us aren't as fortunate and we don't get the opportunity to do that, but it helps us. It doesn't help the animal because he's out of his physical body, he's out of his pain, he's out of his suffering. And you've done him a great kindness by doing that. It doesn't matter what animal it is. Some people love rats, some people love pet mice, some people have pet ferrets, and some people have snakes. We have so many different animals that we love and we get very bonded to. But know, once they're out of their physical body, they're in a much better place. And then you think to yourself, am I going to have my animal cremated, or am I going to bury him? Often when you're at home and your animal dies, you may find a very special place in the garden to bury him. But if you're at the vet's, we always think it's better to have our animals cremated. Many people like to keep their animals' ashes. they feel it gives them a great deal of comfort, and do whatever you can to get that comfort. Whatever it takes, do it. I mean, I had a lady who had her cat's ashes in a beautiful urn, and she slept with the cat's ashes, and she put them and she cuddled them, and it gave her comfort. And I say to people, do whatever gives you comfort, do it. I had another gentleman who kept his cat in the deep freeze, and the cat thought it was so funny because once they go out of their body, what we do they find very amusing, because they see themselves and you carrying these ashes around and going to bed with the ashes. They just think it's so funny because they say, hey, we're around you, I'm with you, and why is she doing that? And they think it's funny because they are. They don't go anywhere, they're still with us. The gentleman who put his cat in the deep freeze, he'd had it in there for like 6 months. Then he went away and the electricity went off, and when he came back he was devastated because everything had gone like that. And the cat, but he phoned me, made an appointment, and I said, darling, he's with you and he's around you. And after we'd finished that appointment on the phone, he felt so much better. And he started to actually laugh because he could see it from the cat's point of view, the animal's point of view, because the animal was talking to him and telling him. So whatever decision you make, do the most thing that you feel you want to do. And if you want those ashes around you and you want to take them to bed with you and you want to put them somewhere and it gives you comfort, do it. Because whatever comfort you can get, you need at that particular time. But also know that many animals do reincarnate. They go back to the spiritual realm, they get a new body and they'll come back to you. And we'll talk about that. And I'll explain to you how they come back, because people often say, I don't know how to find them. They'll find their way to you. Whatever, they'll find their way back to you. And know that they're in a great place and that they're out of their pain and that you'll feel them around you and with you. This is my beautiful cat, Sunshine, who is 23 right now. He has a lot of arthritis, and it's uncomfortable for him, and his time is coming very soon. And he knows that. He said to me the other day, I'm not going to be here much longer, Mum. And I told him, you're not? He said, no, I'm not. He knows. They often know. We don't. They know. So the transcending. What happens after their body lies there? They step out of it. The body is dead, but the energy body steps right out of that physical body. And when they go over, they have, okay, Sunshine, you want to get down. And when they pass over, they're greeted from all the souls that have been in past lives with them, as well as this life. And the animals will come and meet them, and it's like a celebration with people and animals when we go over. You just feel peace, love, and joy. This is where all the hell is, right down here. On the earth plane, we're always battling things and doing things and having to sort things out. Over there, love, peace, and joy. And the wonderful thing is that you meet up with all the people you've known, and it's just a wonderful experience. You're out of the physical body. They're out of the physical body. There's no more pain, just peace, love, and joy. What's also so lovely is the fact that animals vibrate on a higher level of consciousness when we go over. All the souls are on a higher level of consciousness. And the physical body, the first thing they realized is how heavy the physical body is, because now they're in their energy form, they can move quickly, they can still communicate with each other, they can still communicate with the spirits that are still here, all the animals that are still here in the physical body, they're talking to telepathically. And it's just a wonderful experience going over and being over there. I often wonder why we decide to come back. I believe we're all working out karmas, and that when we come back, we have to put those karmas right with people, and that when we've got it right here on the earth plane, then we no longer come back, and we can stay in that wonderful state of love, peace, and joy. Also, when they're over into the spiritual realm, People will often say, was there anyone there that they knew? Well, of course, our relatives are over there. Most of us have got relatives over there, unless we're very young. And, you know, they're great, your mothers and fathers and all the souls that they've been with or known in this lifetime are over there. And even the souls they don't know, they've known them because they've seen them around you in the home. So you may say, you may say to me sometimes, but they didn't know my dog. I'll say, well, you don't think they did, but the dog knows them and the cat knows them because they're always around you in your home. Spirit's always around us with love and round us and watching over us. So the animals are exactly the same. So you're never alone when you go over there. And then lots of people will say to me, well, why haven't I had a dream about them? Or, I haven't met them in dream state yet. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will meet them in dream state. You do sometimes, you don't. But the most important thing is, as time goes along, you'll start to feel and sense them around you. And some people have amazing experiences. They feel their cat jump up on the bed. I've had clients say to me, oh, I know my cat was there. It jumped up on the bed and walked all over me and I felt it. And some clients will say, I saw my cat. It ran very quickly and I thought, is it my imagination? But I saw him run across the room. He's there. They're telling you, hey, I haven't gone anywhere. We're still around you and with you. So talk to them. Talk to them because they're with you. But what they love, the animals, is when they're in the spiritual realm and they're in their energy form, they can go anywhere with you. So if you go to a restaurant, they can go. If you go to get your hair done, they can go. They can go with you when you go grocery shopping. And dogs that love going in the car love it because there's nowhere that you go without them. And often you have a number of animals with you that have passed over. I remember walking down the road one night and I had so many animals with me. My horse I used to ride as a little girl. My dogs I used to love as a little girl. The pig that was a real character that was trotting after me. And I suddenly started laughing because I thought if people could see what I could see, it would be hilarious. They were all over the road following me while I was walking my dogs. My dogs could see them because the animals see spirit all the time. So when they go over, they really haven't gone anywhere. They're around us and with us, just vibrate at a higher level of consciousness. They don't need food because they don't have that physical body which causes us so much discomfort, the animals and people too. They meet the people over there that they've known. They really haven't gone anywhere. It's just the physical body that we miss so much. Now your animal is no longer with you. That's what you feel. And the big part and the most painful part is the grieving, because you can't deal with it. The pain is overwhelming. And many people grieve more over their animals passing than they do people, because people, you know, we sort of accept it, particularly when they're old, but with our animals we cannot accept it. And we grieve very, very deeply. It is the most painful feeling we have when we're having to learn to live without them. But remember, when you're doing that, they are around you and with you in a different way. And everybody deals with their grief in different ways. Some people don't talk about it, and other people do. And when you're grieving like this, always try and find a friend who's already had the experience of losing an animal, because not everybody feels the same way about animals as animal lovers do. So they can't even begin to understand what we're going through or you're going through. So find someone who you can talk to, because they'll understand exactly how you feel, and you can talk about your animal. Think about the wonderful times you have. As I said earlier, they're the jewels in our lives, the wonderful things we've done with them, the wonderful walks we've enjoyed, the time we've enjoyed with them, how they make us laugh, all the funny things. Remember all those wonderful memories, because no one can ever take those away from you. As time goes on, things will get better. You start to learn to live without them. The pain doesn't go away, but you're learning to live without your animal, and know that you can talk to it, that it's there with you, and just in a different way. But when you're in the physical body and they're not in their physical bodies anymore, it's really hard. When they're in the spiritual realm, they're running around with all the other dogs and jumping over each other. They're all young and they're free of that pain. And they're in a wonderful place and they're all together. None of them are lonely. And they just run and play, and all the animals on the other side are so happy, and the people too, because they're together in the same energy. So think of that when you're feeling really sad and you don't know how to cope, because I don't think you do, you just struggle through it all. But when you feel the feelings, really don't push them away. Feel that feeling. Go into that feeling. Feel it and feel it and feel it. Don't push that feeling away, because this will help you an awful lot. And if it moves around your body from the stomach to the chest area, then feel it and feel it and feel it. Just keep feeling that feeling and it'll dissolve. If it goes to the throat, follow it through the body, because it travels through your body, the feeling, and you can release it. And that will really help you a lot. Now let's talk about the animals that are still with you. They're grieving too. Animals grieve. I remember as a child we had 2 spaniels and one of them died. They were together all the time, Bessie and Susie, and they were together constantly. And when one of them died, the other one lay on the ground where she'd been buried and grieved, and a week later she died too. So they were both together. And as a little girl, I was fortunate enough to be able to see them all happy in the spirit world and together. I was missing them and I was sad, but they were in a wonderful place, I knew that. But grieving with the animals, now, they're still communicating together. Telepathically, the animals are speaking from the spiritual realm to your animals here, but they're feeling the grief of your feeling. They're missing that animal. Even though they can feel it and sense it around them, they don't understand where the physical body is. And I often have to tell them, and if you can do this to the animals that are grieving in your home, it will really help them. Tell them that you understand why they're feeling and sensing them, and they are there with them in a different way, but the physical body is not there. But when they feel and sense them around them, they're with them. Many animals will go looking for the other animal. You'll find it'll be looking all the way around the house. It'll look around the garden. Where is it? Because they can feel and sense that animal with them, and they don't understand the physical body is gone. So you explain to them, it's okay, we understand how you feel, but when you feel and sense the animal with you, or whatever the name of your animal is, give it to them, but it's with you and around you, but it just hasn't got a physical body anymore. It's in a different energy form, but it's there with you. And I know you probably think, oh, well, it's all right for her, she can talk to animals, but you're doing it anyway, and they understand so much. That will help them a great deal if you can do that. And always remember to put that wonderful, loving feeling with it, because they understand. But they grieve, and it takes them time too. So you're all grieving together. Now, when we grieve, sometimes we have a really special bond with one animal. We love them all as much. We may have 8 animals, we love them all as much in different ways, but there's that real special bond. Now, when you have that, the reason you have that special bond with one particular animal, and you've got all the others that you love too, but you have a very special closeness with one of them, understand that you have been in many past lives. Your souls have been together. You've experienced many lifetimes together. And when they come back as your animal, that's where the bond is. You have that real special bond. You've been with all of them in different past lives, but they've been in human form as well as animal form. We choose to come back in certain forms. But when you have that bond, and it really is, because I have a lot of my clients who say to me, Sonya, I've always grieved over my animals, but this I can't get over her. I can't. Well, you don't get over them. Just accept that. You're not going to get over them. But when you have that tremendous bond, it's because you've been many, many, many lifetimes together. And the healing process, it's difficult. It's very difficult. It's very painful. There'll be times when you cry. There'll be times that you can cope with it. There'll be times when you can't. But I can honestly tell you, if you've had an animal before, you know that it gets better with time. You don't get over it. And then there's the wonderful thought of, shall I get another animal? And, you know, will my animal come back to me? And how will I find it? Many people will say to me, do you think my animal will come back to me? Or many people recognize that their animals have come back to them. Now, whatever animal that you get, you don't have to go looking for it. People will say, how am I going to find it? And they rush all around, and they go to the animal sanctuaries, and they're rushing all around until they do a reading with me, and then I'll explain to them how it works. It's very simple. You don't have to rush anywhere. The animal will find you. And the interesting thing is also, when an animal has passed, sometimes you'll see the characteristics of the animals that's passed already in one of your other animals. Well, that's because the animal, certain traits that you know that animal does that none of the animals do, and you'll suddenly see one of the animals behaving like the one that's passed. Well, it allows the animal, because it's energy, to take its body over. So it will sort of let it come into the body so it can experience being with you, feeling and touching and in the same physical form as you. So they're able to do that when they're in the spirit realm. So how do you find them? And I say to people, and it's a very interesting experience what can happen. People always think they should get a puppy, and then the animal will wait till you get home, and then they'll go into it when they know you're definitely going to be keeping it. They don't go into it, and people think that we're all born with souls in them, but we're not. Our souls sometimes go in a little after we're born. So understand that the animals, even if they come in with the souls, and there's rescue, and you go and rescue an animal, and you take it home, your animal in spirit will be watching out for which animal you've got, and then it'll suddenly start, after a period of time, gradually going in and out of the physical body. It's not a quick process because the spiritual body is very heavy. And when we're just energy, we get into that body and we have to get used to the vibrations and the frequencies, and it can't just go straight in it. Sometimes they're born in it. They're born in a puppy if you get it. But sometimes the soul can go in after it's born, if you get a rescue animal. And then you can see characteristics of the dog that's already passed over in the dog that you've now got at home. And the dog you get, or the cat you get, or the ferret you get, or the mouse, or the hamster, they still reincarnate, all those animals. You can suddenly see traits or certain distinctive things that the animals passed over would do to you. A lady said to me the other day that one of her dogs that she got as a rescue suddenly started to push the bowl all around the kitchen after it had eaten. And she said, my dog I had 10 years ago used to do that. Sonya, I know it's him, come back. And she said, he also starts to do things, funny things that my other dog used to do. It used to chase around the island, just run around my kitchen island. And suddenly he started to do it, and I knew I'd got my Toby back. So look out for things, because once the animal comes to you, and if it decides to reincarnate, they don't always, and they don't always reincarnate immediately. They can take a few years to come back. But you'll know that when they come back into the physical body, if the other dog is 5 years old and you start to see traits of your dog from the spiritual realm in there, or your cats, they have made a pact before they even come here, before they even go into that physical body, because we all know before we come into this physical body, this time, what we're going to go through in our lives, when we're going to die. When we hit the physical body, we have no knowledge of it. The only way we have knowledge of it is if we go to a hypnotist and we regressed into past lives, then we'll know. I've done that, and it's been a very interesting experience. But the dog will be back with you, but the other soul will go back to the spiritual realm. But that's all been arranged before they even come into that physical body. They know it, and they go back, and the other soul takes over the physical body. So you can have your dog back, and he can reincarnate. Sometimes they go back and they think, right, I'm getting a new body, and I'm not going to allow anyone to come into my home. I'm not my mum and dad. No, I'm getting back there. So that's how it works. So it isn't the end. And some reincarnate and some don't. Some take longer, some do it immediately. So now know that the spiritual realm is always around you and with you, and that miracles do happen. And that, it's always a miracle, I think. I had Sammy back, that I was telling you about earlier in the VDB. And he was just, he was a big dog and he died early. He was a Ridgeback. And when he came to me, Sammy, someone threw him out of a car and a little boy brought him up and I picked him up and his leg was damaged. They'd thrown him out, left him. And I brought him in the house and my Emma came in, my daughter, and she said, Mum, I don't know whether you know it, but Sam's back with you. And I was a bit surprised. And she said, he's come back in a small body because he always wanted to get on your knee and now he can. And he lived a very long time because he didn't live long in his last lifetime. He lived a long time. And a week later, the hair down his back, he was a little terrier, funny little dog, his hair down his back went into a whole ridge and curled at the top. And that really convinced me this was my Brew back again in another physical body. And he'd come back in a small dog because he hated it because he couldn't get on my knee. And Sam was Brew come back again. He even had the same traits. He was still sneaky like Brew was. He did things that only Brew did. And it was a joy having him back. And Sam used to sleep with me and he was always with me and he loved it because he was like my left arm. He never left me. So you're going to have that experience. Some of you are going to have that experience. And when you do, it's like a miracle and you can't believe it. And it makes you happy and then all the pain goes away. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen, but it happens a lot of the time. The funniest story I have to tell you, I've had many funny ones, that this is fascinating. I had a couple that called me and their dog had passed over a little while ago and they got a new dog. So they wanted me to talk to the new dog. So it was a bulldog, an English bulldog. So I started to talk to the dog and he tells me he has steak every night. And they said, yes, he does. We cook him a steak every single night. He loves it. So then he went on to tell me that they had a boat and that it was his boat and that he went on the boat often and he loved going on the boat. And they said, yes, he loves going on the boat. He really does. He enjoys it. And that he had a life vest that they put on him and they were really careful with him. And I remember him saying, the only thing I don't like is having my nails cut. Well, a lot of dogs don't like doing it. But everything else in my life, tell them, he said, is absolutely perfect. And then he went on to say about driving a truck. And he said it was an older truck, but he was very fond of it. So I started to get a feeling like, gosh. So I said to them, your father, I feel, is reincarnated in your dog. And they both burst out laughing and they said, Sonya, he always said, I'm coming back as your dog. And they said, we couldn't wait to get another dog and see. And we give him the steak every night because he told them before he left, I'll come back as your dog. I want steak every night. I still want to go on the boat regularly because he loved his boat. And he wanted them to hang on to the old car, which they did. So that is a wonderful story. And knowing that we can reincarnate in many different forms, from animal to human, from human to animal. So I love that story. Getting a new animal after your animal's passed over. Some people can do it immediately, within a few days, and other people feel they can't do it. And they'd love to have another dog, but they'll say to me, oh no, he wouldn't have wanted me to have another dog, and I feel that I'm betraying him. I have to remind people that animals don't think like people. They love us, they want us to have another dog, and if you don't get another dog or a cat, how can the animal reincarnate and come back to you if it wants to? So don't ever think that an animal will not like it if you go and get another animal and replace him, because you're not replacing him. They don't see that. They just want you to be happy. Sometimes they reincarnate and sometimes they don't. But the wonderful joy of going and getting an animal when your other one has passed over is, it's not that you get over your animal that you love so much that's in spirit. It just gives you a focus. You have to focus, and going from having an elderly animal to getting a young one, whether it's an elder cat or an elder dog, is a lot of work. You forget how much work it is, because older dogs, they're easy, they're in their routine, they're not jumping up you, they don't need training, they've got you trained by the time they're older. So bringing a new dog or a new cat or a new animal in is a joy. And I would, just wait until you feel that you're ready. You can't do it until you're ready, or if you're a husband and wife, you both have to be ready and you both have to agree on it. But do get another animal if you do. And time, I can do it in a few days, but I'm fortunate. I know the animal's in spirit, so I'm fortunate I can do that. But you miss them so much. And getting a new animal, it's another life. It's possibly a physical form if you're past animals to come back into. Maybe it won't come back, but whatever, it'll be a joy to you. You'll go through all the things and you know that you've got an animal that's going to be with you for a long time, or you hope it's going to be with you for a long time. So don't delay. You don't have to delay getting an animal. Just go out there. But when you do go, maybe you're going to get a rescue animal, and you'll go through the rescue. We're looking in all the cages, they'll bring it out, but you'll have to have a feeling about it. There'll be something about that animal that you like. It might be that he runs up to the front of the cage in front of the other dogs and he's there and he's wanting you to take him. It might be that he holds back. It might be a look, but there'll be something that you will like or recognize or feel, because the feelings and emotions come into this so much about that animal. You will have a kind of knowing. So go and have a look, and if you can't find the right animal or you're not ready for it, just leave it for a bit longer and then go again. But the right animal will be there for you. You may have a puppy. You may want to go to a breeder. We always rescue our animals, because there are animals out there of all kinds of animals, all breeds of animals. You can go to a breeder if you want if you want German Shepherds. There's always someone who rescues German Shepherds. If you want Ridgebacks, there are always Ridgebacks. If you want Poodles, there are always Poodles. And I would advise you, if you can, to go to a rescue group. But whatever way you get your animal, know that you're going to have love, joy. Your life will have a meaning again. It will have a purpose. They get you out. They walk you if they're dogs. The cats are funny. And I will always say, if you're going to get a cat, get two. They're company for each other. Cats, often people will go and get another cat. And if you see two cats together, don't separate them. Take the kittens together, because you're going to have double the fun with two kittens. And it's no more work. It's no more work at all. So if you can rescue two, or you can rescue two cats, they're company for each other. And they do get used to each other. And you can have a lot of cats and they don't even like each other. I've got cats here. You've seen a few on the video hanging around. Well, I've got about 6 cats, and they all have their own relationship. And it might not be a good relationship, but they're a family. And when any of them go, they grieve. But whatever you get, know that it's going to give your life a new meaning, a new purpose, and a great deal of joy and happiness. So good luck, and I do hope this has helped some of you understand that there's no death and there's no separation.